Hello, Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here, and welcome to the channel. Finally, sorry about that, technical issues. So awesome stuff. So yes, welcome to another Talking Star Wars live stream, basically where we talk Star Wars. Today's topic is the Mandalorian, and I've got some fantastic guests joining us. So we get to those in a second. I just want to catch up with the chat. So apologies to everybody in the chat. So hello, Rolando. He is one of my new moderators. So thank you very much for that. We've got Kieran. Hello, Kieran. Travels with Jason. We've got Georgie. Hello. Keith Knight. And let's have a look. We've got Goji. Yes, Stu, and technical difficulties go to Chip. So thank you very much for that. Awesome stuff. Greetings, Jim Largo. Hello, sir. How are you? We have Connor. Hello, Connor. Oh, Gary Moore's always going to have something to say, isn't he? Stu and technical. Yeah, unheard of. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Yep. Okay, so that's everybody in the chat. So let's get the guests on. So first of all, we have Adam Berry. Hello, sir.
How you doing? I'm good.
All right, now I can hear you. Oh,
yeah,
hang on.
I can hear you,
man. Hello. Right, then we have Matt from Matt's Collection. Hello, Matt.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
All good, thank you. Not too bad. Yourself?
Doing great.
Awesome. Then we have Philtheforce. Hello, Phil. Where are you? There you are.
Hi, guys. I had my own
All
technical
good?
difficulties.
Yeah. Well, we all have them. Just me more than some, but there you are. What can you do? And then we have also joining us Anthony from Imperial Communique. Hello, sir.
Greetings, Imperial citizens.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Good to be here.
Some stuff. Right, we've got Ovob Kenobi in the chat. Have we? Yep, there we go. Hello, sir.
You froze, Stu.
Yeah. No.
Oh.
Great. We lost the guy who's leading the whole thing.
Stuart has frozen.
Well, guys, so how's it going?
Yeah. How is everybody?
Yeah.
It's literally, I don't even know if it's, yeah, it's just Stuart's frozen, I think.
Yep, he's coming back.
There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
What the hell is going on here? Hey, unbelievable. So, yeah, I was going to say tonight's conversation is about the Mandalorian. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I know one of the guests has got some information and some data on the Mandalorian, so it'd be interesting to hear that. So he's going to chip in with that a bit later. Also going to be asking the question: is there too much?
No.
The guest challenge plus the Star Wars trivia quiz where this is question. So that's if we even get that far at the moment. This is an absolute nightmare. My screen keeps flickering on and off. So yeah, I don't know what's going on.
You were a little broken in that last little bit, man.
I'm broken. Oh, don't tell me that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Fine. It was just that last sentence when you're talking about what's going to be on the show. You kind of broke up a little bit.
Okay, so we're going to be talking Mandalorian. One of the guests has got some data that he's going to be giving us. So we're going to be doing that towards the end of the show or after the conversation. I've forgotten where I am now. This has completely thrown me, guys. So I do apologise. What a shit show. I've got the challenge for you. Plus, I've got the Star Wars trivia quiz. So, right, the Mandalorian. We've had season 3 recently finished. So, I would like your thoughts on the season as a whole compared to the other seasons. So, who would like to take the lead and go first there?
Me.
Oh, go on in.
No, I might as well get it out of the way because I'll probably get massively abused for my views. But I actually quite enjoyed it. And I know that's probably contrary to probably some other people, but in terms of comparing it to previous series, I thought it was just as good in its own way. It had slow episodes, it had good episodes, much like the other series. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed it really. So yeah, that's me really. Peace and love, you know.
So how do you find it compared to the other two seasons then?
Fun.
How did you find it comparing to the other two seasons?
I thought it was just as good in its own little way. There was obviously some real kind of like shock and awe moments to the previous seasons. Like obviously Luke at the end of season 1, obviously turning up. Then you've got obviously some of the things in season 2 that happened. But I genuinely just liked it just as much. The only thing I would say is I felt it could have been longer because it was 8 episodes and I actually felt they didn't involve Moff Gideon enough. And I feel like they could have built on that whole big epic battle. Spoiler, no one's seen it. And basically could have done a couple more episodes with that. So I think that's my only critique. There is some other things really, but I guess as a whole, you know, I struggled to complain massively about it compared to some of the other stuff we've had previously. And yeah, again, I've got views which I'll let other people kind of talk, but yeah.
Okay, Anthony, did you messaged the other day and saying that you had some opinions? I'd like to hear your opinions.
Well, yeah. Look, I mean, it's I agree with that. It's still solid. It's a great looking show. It's very fun. But the issue tends to be is season 2. The end of season 2, they upped the stakes so much, and that's when you're doing a series, you're always trying to outdo yourselves, and you know, like. As a Doctor Who reference, the first 4 seasons is sort of like, you know, every year the finales outdid each other and they led somewhere. And with this, is like last year, season 2 just so gripping, you know, because like Grogu gets captured and you lose the Razor Crest, and you know, it just really pulls you in, and you want to find out. You want to see a resolution, and then the following episode with Megs, man, as like talk about taking a character I was like ho hum about and making him really great. It was just a good lead up, and it was sort of like having the Mandalorian taking off his helmet, you know, just to prove how dedicated he is. You know, it's upping the stakes. And in that last episode, I mean, Jesus, I mean, like bringing in Luke, and it's like it's hard to outdo yourself. And that's the only reason why this season felt a little bit like I don't want to say a letdown, but it's just sort of like, how do you outdo that? You know, and you know, and that's what good showrunners do when they plan out and map out various seasons. They're looking ahead so that they can outdo themselves each season and just make it better and better and better. And that's really the only flaw. Other than that, I mean, it was still fun, still solid. I really enjoyed every minute of it.
That kind of, if you don't mind me, Anthony, jumping in, that kind of brings me to something I was going to say about expectation levels, because when you've got such a show which climbs like that, you know, it starts off with a good first series. You know, perception is, and reality probably is, it got better through the second series. Then how can you keep climbing? How can you keep kind of pushing it? And eventually you're not going to be able to. Eventually it's going to flatline. And that doesn't mean it's dropped off in quality. It just means it's leveling out. But to the viewer and to people, it's going to be that it's like worse in some way. And like, I agree. So I think fun's a really interesting word, because to me, Star Wars is fun, and to me, it was a fun series. So,
but before we crack on, I just want to say to you guys in the chat, I have a poll running. What was your favourite season of Mandalorian? 1, 2, or 3? That is currently on my community page. I will be sharing that with you guys later. That's going to run until about 11 o'clock, so you've got about 45 minutes to get your votes in. And I'll be showing that on the screen, guys. Phil, what did you think, mate? What did you think of season 3?
I quite liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I'm with AB. I'm surprised actually. I was interested why you thought, you know, that it would be a negative view. because I hadn't seen a massive backlash, a bit of a kind of meh sort of response to the finale, and I agree with Anthony on that. It's kind of I didn't really dig the finale that much, but I felt the whole season was.
And we've all seen it frozen again. I think Phil's frozen.
No,
he's gone.
Yeah, all good. Okay,
right.
it's just me. My end is awful, but there you are. Sorry, mate.
Sunflower.
Crack on.
I felt the season just sort of, it was quite nicely paced. Like I think season 2 was a bit rubbish to begin with, right? And then it kind of took off. It went really up.
Thanks,
this
Rowan.
one sort of kept a sort of similar kind of pace throughout, and I was okay with that. I loved the penultimate episode, the stuff with the Shadow Council. I thought that was kind of that really justified the whole season for me. I was we saw that as celebration on the Friday night, I think it was, or the Saturday night, and that just blew me away. That was kind of box office right there.
Thanks, Ryan.
I didn't like, like I say, the finale was a bit, I couldn't really see what was going on. It was kind of a bit too much. There was a bit too many flying jetpacks and stuff happening. And
the
I'm not
finale
too
for me
keen on
was
Grogu.
rushed. Phil. The finale
Yeah,
for me
I
was
think-
rushed. That was the problem. If they'd have had another episode or two, they could have fleshed that out. But that's my
I
view.
think I've got a sense parts.
It always comes down to the writing.
Yeah.
Gilster.
As a whole, it was okay. It was almost like, we got that out of the way. Let's move on to the next one. I wasn't kind of negative like I was for the Book of Boba Fett. That was okay. It wasn't quite as good as season 2, but I'm still in.
What about you, Matt?
I'm kind of with Adam. I really like the season. No, it's fine. It was the weakest of the 3, but there's reasons for that, and it's basically because it's the same thing with like Book of Boba Fett kind of suffered from, and it was they're setting up other things. Like if they had taken the stuff from Book of Boba Fett with Luke and Grogu and stuff and Mandalorian and put that in season 3, or put that in season 3 of the Mandalorian, maybe take out like the episode with Lizzo and Jack Black. As much as I like Jack Black as an actor, you can see why George Lucas didn't use a lot of big name actors in the original Star Wars. He always kind of went with unknowns, because it really, seeing them there, it really kind of took me out of the episode a bit. It was just kind of weird the way they did it, and it was all just so that they could meet up with Axe Woves and his crew. Was why they did that. Shorten that a little bit and put the stuff with Luke giving Grogu the choice and everything else. I mean, kind of the way they did it. I don't know how you could change it, because they needed Mando to help Boba Fett in Book of Boba Fett, stuff like that. But I don't know. There's just some things that could have been. I mean, the thing is we're looking at it. We're like in the middle of it, and I've seen it like as a big Babylon 5 fan or a fan of the
No idea what's going on. You keep flashing in and out, so I've got a really bad connection here at the moment. So I do apologize for that.
Okay, but just like if watching like Babylon 5 or The Expanse, if you watch like the
you guys carry on. I just have to sit and nod my head as if I can hear what you're saying. So
okay, man. But I'll try this again. Watching Babylon 5, like the first scenes of Babylon 5 or The Expanse, there's a lot of setup, and if you watch them, they're really kind of slow burns of a season, but there's payoff down the road, and that's the thing. I think if you look at like the season finale for Mandalorian, God, I hope we all don't drop out now, but they have like there was a lot of things they were setting up. You got Mando who's gonna like contract with the New Republic. You've got like, they're showing that there actually is life on Mandalore, and the ones that survived the Night of 1,000 Tears that were still there, they've been farming, they've been growing stuff, so they are rebuilding Mandalore. There's going to be things for that down the road, and I understand. I mean, we're kind of in a kind of an instant gratification culture now. You want everything, you want it now. I get it. But I think that you're looking at like Jon Favreau, who's one of the guys who helped start the MCU, and you got to admit, I mean, even though there were some weak episodes, like a lot of people had complaints like about like Iron Man 2, because they spend half the movie setting up other things. But if they don't do that, you don't get the payoff with Avengers all the way down to Endgame if you don't do that stuff, sort of thing. So he's doing that now because he's got to connect all these shows. And so, I mean, I understand people's complaints. I'm just and yeah, you want that big payoff. You're just going to have to wait for it. And we don't like to wait.
Do you think that's a big mistake where they're trying to do what the MCU did and try and connect everything together?
No, because all of Star Wars is connected.
No, exactly. So I personally feel that they're making a big mistake by trying to connect everything together. That to me shouldn't be happening. I mean, we got the Ahsoka series coming up soon. For me, that should have been set straight after season 4 of Rebels. You know, back then, not now. Why?
Well, they in the timeline they're about that they're in. If you watch the timeline, that like epilogue on Rebels is like years. I mean, the show ends before A New Hope, or actually before Rogue One, and that epilogue is like 6 years later. It's set like 5 years after Return of the Jedi. It's about the same timeline that where we're at in the timeline now.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I mean by the I mean all the movies, all the shows, and everything. They're all connected to some degree. And what they're doing with the Disney Plus shows is basically, it's almost like you could put it all together in like one movie or something like that, putting them all. So
you guys are quite happy for them to connect the dots and connect everything together then?
Yeah, they will eventually. I mean, I don't have to have everything spelled out and explained for me. Show don't tell kind of thing. I don't want to have like a 10-minute exposition about stuff that's going on elsewhere. Take a few minutes and show it to me. Like little things like, I mean, there's one thing I like about The Last Jedi. If you look, I think that's honestly Mark Hamill's best performance as Luke is The Last Jedi. It's some of his best acting. And you look at the little subtle things, like you look at him before the end of that, you can see how conflicted he is about his decisions in that movie. And honestly, there was things I had to watch that movie a second time to really kind of appreciate it. So, I mean, obviously still not the story I would have told, but that's what we got. And I see a lot of similar things with Mandalorian, stuff like that. So, I mean, they're playing a long game, and I'm okay with it.
Are we 100% sure that there is going to be a full season?
100%.
Oh yeah, it's already written.
Okay.
That's not even
confirmed.
Production has just been taking a break because they did like 5 years straight between Book of Boba Fett and the 3 seasons. It takes a long time, and the crew apparently kind of was like, we need some time off.
It comes down to one thing as well. It's a huge money spinner for them. Like Mandalorian is like their biggest ticket at the moment, and that's what it comes down to. It's massive. So
I agree. The way I want to go with this was that ending, that the very, very end. That was slightly weird, wasn't it? That felt a bit.
No,
if they never came back, it'd be like, all right, it's wrapped up in a nice bow.
Right.
Do you think they peaked too soon with The Mandalorian, with the ending of season 2? Do you think they peaked too soon? And then, because, I mean, for me, Mandalorian season 2, I mean, my expectations for season 3 were so high after that. And do you think that's a problem with people's expectations being too high? And then they get let down?
Yeah.
Look, I was just... I was just... Oh, sorry.
No, I said go ahead.
I was just at a Andor Q&A with Tony Gilroy, and it's like it really comes down to a different writing styles. It's like hearing Tony Gilroy talk. It's just like, sort of like he's always writing, he's always thinking about story, he's thinking about character, and he's planning out. And I think originally they had planned to do 5 seasons, and just because of how laborious it got, they're just next season is going to be the last one, but it's mapped out that every 3 episodes is going to be a different year leading right up into Rogue One. And I don't think they have that with The Mandalorian in that much of thought. It's just a different writing style. So my assumption as a writer is that, like, it's just they don't take that tact. not everybody's Tony Gilroy, not everybody's what's his name, West Wing guy, Aaron Sorkin. So, it's writing.
I would argue as well that it's been that successful that they probably didn't envision it being that successful with Mandalorian. And I actually think that's potentially why they are now, like, you think about characters, like whether you like him or not, Grogu is just like pound signs in their eyes for that character. Like, that is like genius character. Kids love it. Adults love it. Well, most adults do, you know what I mean? Grogu is just an epic character. Mandalorian's an epic character. And you've got two huge characters there. And I think it's just, it's massive and probably more than they realised.
Do you like him bouncing around, AB? Like, a puppet instead of kind of CGI Grogu, that is, sorry. I'm not keen on that.
I've got a soft spot for Grogu. He could do backflips every second and I wouldn't care. To be honest, I think he's brilliant.
Do you guys think that his story should have ended at the end of season 2 when he went off with Luke? Do you think that should have been it for him?
No.
But I mean,
Grogu is the character the Mandalorian's named after. He is the Mandalorian the show is named for.
But what's funny is that when at the end of season 2, though, it's like I didn't see a lot of outcry that that he was gone. It's sort of like, well, I was trying to envision. It's like, wow, is he really gone? What's the show going to be like? Am I going to miss him? I was asking all those questions, and I was kind of mentally preparing myself. Like, are they going to take that bold move and kind of just push Grogu to the background and make another story? And obviously they didn't. But like either I missed it or I just didn't kind of hear the outcry to Disney. It's like, how dare you get rid of Grogu? It's like, well, we're not going to watch the show anymore if Grogu's not on. I didn't hear one of that stuff.
I mean, for me, I think the 2 episodes in the Book of Boba Fett, which basically featured the Mandalorian, I think that devalued the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes,
they should have just concentrated on Boba Fett for that whole series. Then the 2 episodes that were in the Book of Boba Fett should have been the first 2 episodes for Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah,
I
completely agree.
Where they went wrong is they diverted off too much in season 3 with different storylines that had just I didn't like at all. The Jack Black and Lizzo one, I did not like that at all. And then there was the other one with the is it Dr. Pershing and the other Imperial officer?
That was just a weird episode.
That's a setup episode. That's a setup episode. You're going to see all that. I mean, they kind of paid off a little bit towards the end because he was Moff Gideon was cloning himself, and the whole reason they needed Grogu at the beginning of the series was because they needed his blood for the Force. But
the thing you say about Stu about how them 2 episodes in Boba Fett should have been the start of the following season. I might have dreamt this, but I heard a rumor that was meant to be the case, and for some reason or other they shoehorned them into Boba Fett. I might have dreamt that, but I definitely
I think we've had that conversation
there.
Well, I one of my the guy who invited me to the Andor screening as a writer, and I'm not exactly, he's a big Star Wars fan, and I'm not exactly sure how accurate the intel is, but I think he mentioned something about the reason why they stuck those 2 episodes in the Book of Boba Fett is because there is some kind of outcry that Grogu was missing, so they needed to bring him back. But again, why they did it in the Book of Boba Fett and not at the beginning of season 2 or season 3 of The Mandalorian is a mystery, because that just doesn't make sense.
I mean, that for me totally devalued the book Boba Fett as a character and as a series.
Yeah, well, you can tell the production values on those 2 episodes far exceed the rest of the Book of Boba Fett, right? It just looks, it has a different feel to it. It feels more expensive. Yeah, they just look beautiful. It was 100% kind of meant to be in season 3, and then for whatever reason, they've kind of carved it off and put it into the Book of Boba Fett. But yeah, it took the wind out of the sails of that show, but also showed how cheap it was compared to the money that were thrown at Mando, I thought.
Absolutely. And I wanted season 3 to mainly be about Bo-Katan, the Darksaber, and then reuniting the clans of Mandalore. But that didn't happen until practically the last two episodes.
Yeah,
and I just felt it. I felt personally, for me, season 3 rather lacked a lot of grit. It really did. It wasn't as gritty as the first two seasons.
It did feel a little rushed, especially when you had episodes that were kind of slow. Like that. I mean, the big thing with the episode with Jack Black and Lizzo in it was for them to get to meet up with Axe Woves and get them back under, bring them to heel or whatever, bring them into the fold. So, that was what, 5-10 minutes of a 45-50 minute episode. And, they put all this other stuff in. I would have rather them stretch some of that stuff out, like stretch out the battle at the end. I mean, they've gone with this 8-episode season, 8 chapters for each season kind of thing since they started, which I'm surprised they didn't go with 10. I don't think anybody would complain if they switched it up and went to a 10 episode.
I think they could have got 10 in, definitely.
Well, if you think about it theoretically, they did actually get 10 episodes in of Mandalorian because 2 of them were in the Book of Boba Fett.
And that was only 7 episodes.
Do you know what I mean? I think that could have been so much better when they met up with Axe Woves. They could have done a totally different storyline. What I mean, for me, that was just like who's who on what do you call them? Cameo appearances. You had what's his name? The guy who played Dr.
Christopher Lloyd in it for that. Just such a weird, and it was just.
I did like it though. He kind of gave his backstory about how he was kind of a bit of a sympathizer.
No, I love the storyline. It was just kind of weird that they used Christopher Lloyd for that.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
I love that episode. I quite like the world building. We've never seen that planet. It had
that was kind of cool.
It had a Blade Runner.
Like it, to be fair
about it.
I see your point, Phil, and I'm showing the good on that one. Is seeing other planets, and it was another little look into ex-Imperials being incorporated in the New Republic, and kind of you're getting little subtle things about how the New Republic is operating. And spoiler alert, it's not very well. I mean, that's really why you look at it this way, and you can see why the Resistance was formed later on, because they're not dealing with big issues. You've got this Shadow Council. There is a very big Imperial presence out in the Outer Rim, and they're showing that as an audience we see it. The New Republic doesn't see it or doesn't see it or doesn't want to see it. Was it Carson Teva is the guy who's going to be in Rangers, the X-wing pilot guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's one that's like, okay, he sees that there's a threat out there. He's trying to put everything together, and the New Republic is just brushing him off. And then and you have like active spies working within that system already, and you're kind of seeing that. So I feel I agree that, and that's stuff that I do want to see. My thing was just like, why was it Jack Black and Lizzo? That's what took me out of that. Episode. It was like,
I actually rewatched that episode today. Funny enough, in preparation for tonight, because I thought this episode would come up and people would have strong views on it. But weirdly enough, like I didn't. I feel with you differently about it, sorry. But I agree with Phil. Like, I quite enjoyed it. Like, it was something different. You could argue, why did we need Jack Black, Lizzo, and Christopher Lloyd? But watching it back, they're not the worst things in the world. Like, it was quite. It was a fun episode, and it was a fun episode.
They probably chickened out, didn't they? They thought this is a bit out there, or this is a bit bland. So we'll kind of get some cameos in to kind of, keep everyone along. It probably sort of backfired a little bit, but I don't know. I like Jack Black's character in that. I don't want to offend any Italians out
Again,
there.
You could argue, isn't this the fact that it's...
Wait, AB, I'm going somewhere with this. Come on, I don't want to lose everyone, because I don't know. Have you seen that show in America, Hello? So you got the kind of incompetent Italian kind of officers who kind of, they went all, kind of partisan. So Jack Black's character it felt like that he was kind of, he'd come away from the Nazis, and he was sort of, coming away, and he's kind of got integrated into the kind of locals and all that kind of stuff. It reminded me of Hello back in the day.
Don't talk about the war.
No, thank you. So you did have it out there. You did. It is a global thing. I can't remember the name of the character, but the Italian officer. I thought.
Oh, you mean Crabtree? Officer Crabtree.
Oh no, that's the French guy, right? That's the policeman. I'm talking about. I don't know. He had a plume and everything. Someone in the chat, tell me who that was.
He had a plume. You mean the one who played? We're getting totally off piste here now, but that's going to annoy me.
You get where I'm going. I know. I can't think of it. Club. But yeah.
Okay, then
what? When he used to go high Hitler, he used to go, "Hey Mussolini." That guy.
That's it. Yeah. The other one's Club, and then Mussolini. Yeah. But anyway, I liked they were playing on those kind of Second World War themes. It felt like they were kind of they brought that in and it was kind of cool. And the droid, there's a lot of droid development there as well. The droid kind of cantina, and then you had the Blade Runner, super battle droid, kind of trying to escape. There's a lot of good stuff going on there. I thought in that.
Are we trying to say
interesting things?
Are we trying to say that episode wasn't quite as bad as it appears everybody seems to say it is?
No, Bill's saying that. I'm saying it's absolutely horrendous. I did not like that episode.
I'll say that the worst episode of The Mandalorian still beats the best episode of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow, those fighting words.
Wow.
That bomb out there.
He went there.
Sure, we're gonna, he's going to give us a super battle droid on a Mandalorian card. Now, how in TVC, how bad can it be?
See, I'm not that fussed, if you want, to be honest with you, Phil. I'd rather them do something that I'm going to sit and. Yeah, it just wasn't for me. I would rather a decent episode of a series that I'm enjoying than have a figure on a card. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
No, I get. I'm joking, right? Obviously, but we will get.
Oh no, that's how I watch every episode. I want that figure. I want that figure. I want that one.
Next thing you'd be telling me, Phil, you'd be wanting a Jack Black figure on a Mandalorian card.
I do want that figure. Yeah, absolutely. And then they can repurpose it as a Porkins figure. They can kind of do all that kind of stuff. But the other episode, the other weird episode was I didn't like it. Yes, thank you, Bertorelli. Yes.
Hi, Virginia.
The other episode was the one with Pershing, right? And that was a bit weird. I didn't like that as much, but also there was kind of interesting stuff going on there as well. So kind of appreciate it as an episode. I really like the spy kind of character. I can't remember her name now. She's a very good character.
Yeah, Kara something. I can't remember because they don't really ever say her name. It's only in the credits, and I never remember it. But yeah, she was good. She was good in season 2 as well. I mean, she's very loyal to Moff Gideon.
And when she walks, the penultimate episode where she's kind of walking in the slums of Coruscant, and she's kind of got, again, I feel a lot of Blade Runner references kind of going on in the whole season, and she's got a kind of stuff pulled up. It's pouring down the rain, and then the kind of the probe droid comes in and kind of gets Moff Gideon's hologram out. That was excellent. So you're probably right, Matt. Those things are all setting up payoffs later, so they were necessary. But there was lots of interesting.
Do you think they should have happened sooner in the season? Do you think they should have happened towards the beginning of the season and then carried that kind of storyline on?
Yeah. I mean, I think
maybe an episode or two, but not like very early.
It's funny. It's funny you say that, Stu, because it actually makes me realize that I think they're trying to find a balance of doing the Marvel intricate setup, payoff, and all these stuff, and having this arc for a season versus doing the fun stuff of the Jack Black episode that you really dislike, because they're trying to make that balance of being Star Wars and having a fun world, but also making it, like I said, a storyline, A to B storyline, but they're trying not to forget to have the fun as they do that. And I think something gets lost in the middle in the translation.
Yeah, I mean, for me, season 3 should have been, like I said before, the first 2 episodes, those 2 episodes that were in Book of Boba Fett. Then it would have been nice to have had that episode with Pershing and that girl as episode 3, and then sort of like work it in there, because you've got your backstory of how Grogu comes back with, oh my goodness, how Grogu gets back with the Din Djarin, and then you can see, okay, right, the sinister side of things, where you've got what's his name? Oh, I can't remember his name now. Moff Gideon lurking in the background. He's still thereabouts and stuff like that. But do you feel that for the whole season? Do you feel the whole season was rushed?
I totally would say that. I think give it another 2 to even 4 episodes. You could have made that a 12-episode season. I was quite shocked when they said it was the finale. I was like, really? So I would definitely say that would be probably my only critique, really. That I think they could have set things up like Anthony and Matt were saying for the playoffs. I think they could have set them up slower, built them up a bit more and stuff like that.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, it felt rushed, didn't it? Which is weird because we waited how long? 2.5 years?
Yeah. But, it's, now that they have Mandalore, they have to keep Mandalore. They've a lot of work to do. So, I don't know. I would have liked to seen more of the battle. I mean, it's some of the best parts of Star Wars is the actual war part, And, so I loved every minute of the fights. And, yeah, play it out a little bit longer, have a little more higher stakes. Maybe have an episode end halfway through the battle. It's like a kind of a cliffhanger type thing. Then we'd all be hating it because we got to wait 7 days to see it again. But, but at the same time, it's just, build that up a little. It would have made it better. But I mean, I was happy with what we got. I mean,
I've got a curveball for you all. Do you think they bottled it a bit? I think they could have gone big and killed someone off, like proper killed someone off at the end. Like I'm even talking like the Armorer, Bo-Katan, anybody.
They killed Paz.
They killed Paz Vizsla, man. That hurt too much.
Yeah,
Paz. I don't think he was. He screamed.
I've loved him since season 1. Well, we all love Boba Fett, and he's only in the first trilogy for like 7 minutes.
Yeah,
that's
true.
2 movies.
True. I just think they could have gone. To me, the Paz Vizsla wasn't a massive shock. I feel like there was still a shock there. Like I'm still not convinced Moff Gideon's done. But
right.
Same. They've already established there's clones, so you're going to see a force wielding Moff Gideon probably next season.
Yeah.
Or in a
so he
really
didn't have a moustache in this season, did he?
Yeah, a little bit picked up on that. His clones didn't have a tash, they were saying. So
yeah.
How much of a miss do you think Cara Dune was? Do you think the season missed her? Do you think she was a miss?
I'm glad they handled it the way they did. The whole, I don't want to get into the whole thing. I think it's dumb. They could have renewed her contract like everybody else. She didn't. I don't think she really did anything wrong. So yeah, I mean that character was written. Jon Favreau wrote the Cara Dune character for Gina Carano. So I didn't want to see it recast. And so having her off somewhere until everything dies down or Kathleen Kennedy leaves and they bring her back. They can bring her back down the road. No problem. I mean,
question.
I do really like the character, but I would like to see her back.
So Matt, would you have rather had Bo-Katan and Cara Dune? Could we?
What was that? You kind of broke up. You broke up a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you fine now. It's just
it froze for a bit here at this end.
Must be London. Cara, you couldn't have had Bo-Katan probably in the character arc that she had this season if Cara Dune was kind of still in the show, right? So, are you from that perspective?
No, because I think
would you prepare to have given up Cara Dune to get? Because we've got a pretty cool Bo-Katan.
Everyone
loved it.
That was a choice that we had to get that Bo-Katan arc or have Cara Dune in there as well. yeah, I would probably pick that. I mean, I did really like the Bo-Katan's arc through the whole thing. I really think that they really grew that character very well. I mean, as somebody that I'd like to watch from back when she was animated in Clone Wars, and and her also showing up in Rebels as well, and now in this, and seeing her go from the beginning of the season, she's completely dejected because she doesn't have the Darksaber, and she just doesn't want to deal with anything, and then the way all of a sudden Grogu shows up, Din Djarin's in trouble, she goes and saves him. I think that was really and then spending time with the Children of the Watch, it really kind of gave her a new sense of purpose to. Yeah, we got to bring everybody together, and the fact the Armorer noticed that too, and was able to see that in her, that she's the one that has to lead them, and because she can bring both halves of the society together. I did really like that. But I think we could have had Cara Dune in there as well, helping here and there. I mean, you don't have Grief Karga in every episode. She could have been there with the same episodes with Grief Karga, just being the marshal on the planet, or doing other things, or trying to get more Republic help for them because they know there's a problem out there. I mean, she knows it too. I mean, the episode in season 2 where they show like the cloning facility on Navarro, when the siege, I think it was called, that episode. I mean, it was one of my favorite episodes of the season. I mean, it was so much action. It was really well done. I want that version of the troop transport, the armored troop transport.
Yes,
with the guns.
yes.
Please, for God, Hasbro, if you're watching, you want me to send you? I will.
Can't believe they haven't done it yet.
I know, it's really, you practically have the molds already, but the having that there. I mean, having that stuff. She knows like that the Empire is a threat. Even Carson Teva knows that. You could have had them working together on a side plot that could have been set up for something else. I mean, obviously it would have been, they probably would have had that set up for Rangers in the Republic, and then everybody would be complaining again because there's another show that they're promoting in the middle of the Mandalorian. Because I mean, I'm surprised we didn't get more Ahsoka set up other than the Shadow Council.
Yeah.
What do you? I mean, I've heard that Jon Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy have had a bit of a falling out, because I think I read somewhere that Kathleen Kennedy wanted the sequels to be sort of like explained in the Mandalorian, and I don't think Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni wanted that to happen.
Well, they're doing it.
But they are now. I think
that was the plan all along. I think that was the plan all along. I mean, here comes some more flame in the chat probably from Luke. But I mean, the roads lead there. I mean, it's just that's good. If you go, I don't need them to you've seen it in like they've shown it in the Bad Batch. They've shown it in a bit in the Mandalorian as well. They're giving hints about this cloning stuff that there's going to be used down the road. And you have like in the Bad Batch how the Empire's, they destroyed Camino to keep the cloning technology for themselves, sort of stuff. So it's like, I don't need them to spell it out. Just little hints here and there. I mean, people forget how people really hated on the prequel trilogy back in the day when they were just, and then the Clone Wars really kind of fleshed out some more stuff from the prequels, and granted, the kids that were kids then are now grown up now, and the prequels are more highly regarded now than they were 20 years ago.
You saying about the cloning, I mean, after Return of the Jedi, and I think it was back in the early to mid 90s, there was a comic book series come out called The Dark Empire.
Dark Empire. Yeah.
And that explains perfectly how the Emperor cloned himself. Why couldn't they have led with that in the first film of the sequels? That would have made much more sense.
I honestly, the prequels, the sequels have their problems.
Yeah.
With the, I don't know how they were. I don't know if they were actually the original plan. Carrie Fisher dying changed Rise of Skywalker so much to begin with. Not to mention the fact that they didn't. It's obvious they didn't have a plan for all 3 movies where they were going to go, because it was you got the first movie, which was the safest movie they could make. They remade Star Wars. And then, Ryan Johnson takes the ball and he runs the opposite direction than they thought he was going to run with it, and then they tried to bring it back the other way. They should have just, instead of trying to fix things, just write a good story from where they were. They should have had a plan from the beginning. But
absolutely, absolutely. But I just think they're trying to retcon.
Do that one right.
I just think they're trying to retcon the sequels and now they're explaining everything. I mean, like Matt said, if they had written it properly in the first place, or probably gone with an idea that, I mean, look, this Emperor, like Palpatine character, he's the one behind all these cloning. He's the one who pushed for the cloning and wanted the clone troopers and stuff like that. You would have thought he would have obviously made a clone of himself.
Yeah, but they also established with, like, they did it like in some of the, I don't know how, I think it's all part of Legend now, but like in the Force Unleashed games, they talk about how, no, you can't clone Jedi. You can't clone Force sensitive, or the ability to use the Force can't be cloned. And they kind of, and it was all in like a lot of EU books and everything else. They couldn't do it. And then, they did in Heir of the Empire, they had a clone of a Jor Sabaoth. He was, it was basically the Force the dark side Force user in that Thrawn was using for battle meditation, stuff like that. So, but they've kind of gone back and forth, I guess, on whether or not you can clone Force sensitivity, and that's what Moff Gideon even says it, and he was using Grogu's blood to try to make his clones have the ability to use the Force, and it took him a while to do it. So I mean, it's I guess you can say it can be done, but it's not easy to be done, because it was one of the things with in Rise of Skywalker was that Palpatine made a clone of himself. Rey's father was a clone, but he wasn't Force sensitive, and he just discarded it. It's it was so. But then Rey, obviously, it's like skipped a generation kind of thing. So she was Force sensitive. So it's they get kind of murky on that. But it's Star Wars. Star Wars isn't like science fiction like Babylon 5 or The Expanse or something like that. It doesn't have to. They just play in that big realm of space magic and just let it go. And that's fine. That is what it is. I mean, I don't need it. Like I said before, I'm watching these things. I don't need every little bit. I can fill in the gaps with headcanon. I'm okay with that on certain things.
All right, Tony. Thanks for joining us, mate. Anybody else got any thoughts?
Well, to respond to Luke's point about suffocating shows, I'm not suffocated at all. What the problem is when they're rubbish and you have to wait a long time for the next one to come out. Just rattle them off for me, and I'll pick and choose the good bits. So just keep it coming. I can't wait for Ahsoka. I'm really kind of excited for that.
I like. I'm agreeing with you there, Phil. Again, to be honest, I don't feel like this is corny, but I don't think you can never have too much of it. Really, like it's up. If you don't want to watch it, if for some reason that particular episode, like Andor, I wasn't a massive lover of, and but I watched it all. But if I didn't like it, I would have just not watched it. So but I just think bring them out quicker. Yeah, just feed it to me. So but that's
I think that's going to be a problem now because we've got the Writers Guild strike going on right now, and I don't know how they're going to get around with that. Well, the thing is, it shouldn't affect Ahsoka and it shouldn't affect Andor unless they were trying to. They can't.
Andor's written that,
but they can't do any kind of rewrites. Which, if they needed to fix something or something didn't work, they kind of tricky.
Yeah. The Q&A, Tony addressed that. He had finished like the week before, like 2 weeks ago. He put the final touches on. He doesn't go to set to do any of the writing, to do any last minute revisions because everything is already done and set. Yeah. So I think we're good on Andor season 2, and Ahsoka has been done a while ago.
Yeah,
they were just in post,
But I was reading, I forget which project it was, but I was reading something about how, excuse me, how important it was for the writers to stay on board and be on set and kind of do rewrites as you go along.
Depends on the show. Yeah. It really depends on the show.
So there was some show, I can't remember, that was terrible. and it fell right in lockdown. Or no, sorry, it fell right when the one of the strikes was, and it really, really suffered. And I can't remember which one that is now, but maybe it was Book of Boba Fett. I'm not too sure, but one of there was the kind of writer saying sort of showing how important it was that there was a writer on set tweaking as the show went on to improve the dialogue and everything else and character development. And if you don't have that, then it's a problem. So if it and or may have wrapped in terms of the screenplay, but if there's no one around to tweak it, it could kind of suffer as well, I guess.
It just depends on the crew and the writing. Just from what they were saying on stage, it just sounded like they just weren't needed because everybody was well rehearsed. Everybody knew what they were doing, and that happens. It's I had the privilege of working on a Coen Brothers movie, and I was just talking about this morning at coffee. It depends from production to production, and with the Coen Brothers, like the first scene that I worked on was who played Thanos. It was him walking down the hall with his secretary. They did 2 takes to cut to an insert on his watch. They were done. The actors walked in, they're rehearsed, they know their lines. I mean, like it took 2 takes to do the Ray Fiennes, the kid who played Han Solo. It's just amazing. So it's like, again, it just depends on the production. They vary from.
Okay, so we've got 4 minutes to go until the end of the poll. Showing everybody's favorite Mandalorian season. After that, one of the guests has got like a load of stats that he's going to be sharing with us, so that would be interesting, all on Mandalorian. So just quickly, Adam, what was your favorite season, 1, 2, or 3? I know you feel quite strongly about this, and so do you, Matt.
I actually said 1, just because I think it always has to start with the beginning, but that's just me. So
yeah, Matt, quickly.
I would say 2.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed 2. 1 is a very close second.
Okay, Anthony.
Yeah, I would go 2, 1, 3. Like 2 and 1 are pretty neck and neck, but 2 gets a little bit of the edge because it outdid the first one in terms of stakes, and then third was just fine.
And Phil.
3. Sorry, 2.
2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this screen share up. So bear with me. Here we go. So can we all see that? And let's just make this large. So there we go then. So overwhelmingly, season 2 by 58%, followed by season 1 with 31%. And season 3 with 11%. So it looks like that is the weakest season according to the people who voted. So thank you very much for that. There's a couple of minutes left. I don't think many people are going to vote now. It's not going to change anything. So I'm going to get rid of that and we're back with these guys. Right, Adam.
Okay.
You little statistic guru, you. What have you got for us, me old mucker?
I've got quite a few things, but I'll keep it high level to begin with. So, for those that don't know, my day job is I'm an analyst, so I tend to gather everything with numbers because it just makes my life easier. So I had a look at a few things, and Mandalorian's been a really interesting one. I think sometimes. I think. Sorry, I was looking at Gary's comment there. I think sometimes what I'm often challenged with is perception versus reality, and I think people's perception is their reality when in fact it isn't, and stuff like that. So I had a look at a lot of statistics about it, and some of it's kind of pretty much we've already covered and kind of backs up what we've already said, and some of it doesn't. So I took to Rotten Tomatoes, funny enough, and went to Rotten Tomatoes site and had a look at some of the critics voting and the fan voting on the episodes and the series throughout Mandalorian, and it's quite interesting. So season 1 and season 2 are actually rated exactly the same at 93%, and season 3 is voted at 86%, which brings me on to a point that 86% is a really quite higher rate.
Oh,
Oh
It's
no!
always going to happen.
Shape or form. If you go back to perceptions, sorry, not perceptions. If you go back to expectations, people would think it was a pretty naff season, or compared to the other two. But you can even look down on a deeper level. So everybody kind of brings up the Lizzo and Jack Black episode in season 3. If you look at every season, according to Rotten Tomatoes, there's been one poor episode in every single season of Mandalorian, like one that sticks out a lot worse than others. And so in season 1, it was episode 5, which was called The Gunslinger, which was actually when
That's where Boba Fett showed up at the end.
do you remember that? Is everybody pausing?
that was the one with Fennec Shand, wasn't it?
Yeah, Fennec
You're
Shand
freezing.
showed up in that. Yeah, you're
freezing,
a little
Adam.
bit, Adam.
The one with the kid.
Yeah.
Everybody frozen here?
No, you've
No,
frozen.
it's just you, Adam. Poor guy.
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello.
we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can
Just-
hear you,
just
Adam.
keep
We just
reading
can't
the
see you
stats
moving, mate. There you are. You're back.
Oh,
No, he's
oh,
gone.
Oh,
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 he might be dropping out and coming back in.
probably, more than likely.
Well, if you notice, it's
Comes back.
generally it's kind of. I think I know where he's going with this. Is if you look at these, it's like the character episodes tend to be slow, and at the time, like right in that moment, they tend to not be well rated. You know, and like episode 5 in season 1, the Gunslinger was kind of more of a character episode. You were introduced to Fennec Shand. You know, you had the kid that ends up getting killed anyway, but
I don't know how
Take
far
care.
I got with it all before I froze, so I probably
We got to Fennec Shand.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, Fennec Shand, the episode, like, I watched that again earlier today. That is a pretty drab episode. It is a character-driven episode, but it's pretty drab. And in season 2, it was The Passenger with the Frog Lady. Like, you know, that was the lowest rated episode there.
Really?
I really like that one though, just because
Yeah.
the spiders and that whole scene in the cave was just like, it was just fun and cool,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was
I
going to be
didn't
the one.
dislike it.
I try to get my sister or my wife to watch that because they're so arachnophobic. So I was like,
I didn't like the
That was-
episode. I just didn't like the Frog Lady much. I wasn't a great fan of the Frog Lady, but the episode was pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it, but again, this is, you know, if you go on Rotten Tomatoes, it's the weakest episode of season 2. You know, like, it's just really interesting. And then obviously season 3, the weakest episode, or the one that's been voted the lowest, is actually the finale. It's not the episode with Lizzo or Jack Black, it's the finale. Yeah. So it's really quite interesting. So it comes, you know, what I'm trying to get at is it's quite interesting sometimes what people perceive and what actually is, if you get a lot of people to vote, what's the actual reality kind of thing and stuff like that. But I'm not saying it's right or wrong, by the way, either, because it is all opinions.
No,
but
data.
But another thing that's really interesting is when you look at writers and directors. So as a whole, each season has had pretty much the same amount of directors' input and the same amount of writers' input. However, Jon Favreau wrote more episodes in season 3 than he did in any other series. So the actual best, or I say what we consider to be the best series, season 2, he wrote the least episodes. Right, and that is a fact, you know. So again, could you put it down to the fact that it's him? I don't know. I'm just giving you the information. You know what I mean? Like it's an interesting one there. But these are just some of the things I was looking at. And sorry if I'm not looking directly at camera because I'm looking at some of the notes I wrote. But it's just, I just find all this quite interesting, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, I don't know what other people think, but there was one little thing that I thought was really interesting. So the 3 weakest episodes of every season, and this is probably just a bit of a coincidence, a bit of a funny stat, they were all put out in the first week of a month. So I don't know if the time of when you put out an episode has an effect, but, you know, I found that quite interesting. Like, you know, it's a stupid little fact. It is a connection. So, you know, there's things like that. So, but these are some of the stats I went through. I didn't want to bore the pants off of too many people, but it was just some little observations that I noticed.
Well,
That's a good last stat.
Well, we're talking about.
I'll tell you what that is. That's people who've got more money at the beginning of the month, so they're out enjoying themselves rather than staying in watching Disney Plus.
Well, which episodes were they too? Were they like the third and fourth episode? This is
it. There's no real relation. So first series was episode 5, second series episode 2, and third series it was like episode 8, maybe 6.
That's interesting.
Similar.
Huh.
Yeah, nothing like that. The only thing I could kind of see as well was the episodes when you talk about the story arc, they're all side episodes. So they're all like episodes that don't follow the whole story. They're more like side missions. So I don't know if it's something to do with we as viewers don't particularly like it when they do that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was saying that before when you were frozen. Is like the character building episodes like that tend to be lower rated amongst people watching because it's that the payoff down the road. You got to have these character episodes in there because you have to care about these people when they kill them off.
Yeah, but in that regard though, would you guys agree that episode 7 of season 2, the one with Miggs with Bill playing Miggs, that was a good episode, right? Really good episode. Yeah. Would you agree that it's also a character building episode because you're focused on that character? And in that respect, it's like it still comes down to the writing because it's like they really give that character an arc. He starts out, you have your perception of it one way, and he changes over the course of the episode, and he does something that like really drives the story and has a significant impact. And it's like that's part of the reason why I personally, it's one of my favorite episodes.
What episode is that? So what season?
It's a season 2, episode 7, the one where they get the info to find Moff Gideon so they could rescue Grogu.
It was wrote by the guy who wrote it, Rick. I'm going to murder his surname.
Famiwari.
Is the only episode he wrote for every series.
He was a director for that one too.
I think it comes down to the writing and crafting a good character arc. Because it was engaging.
Yeah.
Didn't he do the Shadow Council episode as well in season 3?
He was
he directed it.
He directed.
Yeah,
I know what he was involved in writing it too.
Co-writer.
He co-wrote. Yeah, I'm obviously just saying direct writer. There's a couple of credits where Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni co-wrote. So it's quite interesting. Majority of it is done by John and Dave by the looks of it. But obviously John's writing, like I said, he's more involved in season 3 than any other season. So whether that's we're not keen on his writing, I don't know. Maybe I'm casting dispersions on the poor guy. But I'm just
This was the one season where they did have like a lot of setup for others. You can tell they're setting up other things in this, and I get it. I think it's one of those you're waiting for a payoff that's down the road, and depending on what happens with Disney or whatever, I think honestly you'll get the payoff, but there's a chance if they decide to do something else down the road, they could change it, and then hey, what about this stuff? I mean, it happens.
The highest rated episode in season 3 was again, this is all by Rotten Tomatoes, but it's a pretty good barometer. Was the episode before the Jack Black episode? I can't remember what happens actually. So,
nor can I. I'm trying
to. That was the highest rated episode. So again, we got a good episode. We all really liked it, and then we were hit with the Jack Black, and it's kind of so it seems worse than it really is. I don't know.
That was the TIE Interceptors, wasn't it? I think that was the.
No, was it the one with the? I think that was the one with the bird.
Oh God!
Going after Paz Vizsla's kid.
Yeah, Ragnar, whatever.
So here's a question for you then. Okay, so you look at the original trilogy. You had George Lucas, Gary Kurtz,
Lawrence Kasdan writing.
what's his name? It was Richard Mark one. Okay, so
Yeah.
you had minimal amount of people with the original trilogy. You had the sequels. George Lucas pretty much oversaw everything with was it Rick McCallum? Yeah. So again, minimal people. The story was there. They were fairly decent. You know, they were good standard films. You've got now the sequels where too many people were involved. You had 3 different directors that, you know, each film had a different director. You know, because I think was supposed to have done the third, the last one.
The guy who did Jurassic World, Colin
Trevorrow. He was supposed to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you've got so many different producers and writers and stuff like that. And now you've got the same with these series where everybody's getting in with the writing, everybody's getting in with the directing. Do you think there are too many fingers in the pies with Star Wars at the moment? Do you think there's too much Star Wars and they're now concentrating on quantity over quality?
I don't know if it's I don't mind. I don't think it's a matter of too many voices. I think the more the better, because that's how you get better ideas. I mean, one of my big complaints about the prequel trilogy was George Lucas decided to do everything himself, even though he's not a great director. I mean, he's great at coming up with the overall story. He's not good at writing screenplays. He's not a good director. You bring it, and then he surrounded himself with people that were unwilling or unable to tell him no, or just, hey, yeah. I see where you're going. How about we try this? That's why I think there's a lot of people, you know, will joke around on like Spice Runners Round, is they'll always ask the question. I was like, what's your favorite Star Wars film and why is it The Empire Strikes Back? And the one thing is that why The Empire Strikes Back is so popular, besides the fact that it did so many things that you didn't see in films, like the bad guys winning at the end, you know, kind of stuff like that. But it was that was the one where you had Lawrence Kasdan did a majority of the writing. You had Irvin Kershner was directing, and he was a very good. I mean, didn't do a lot of science fiction fantasy type stuff, but he brought it in and he understood the craft of acting. Whereas George Lucas was like, "Look, I wrote this down. Just do what I wrote." You know, that was his approach to directing a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's not the fact, like I said, go back to I don't mind having a lot of voices in there, but what they do need is coordination. I don't know. It's thankfully a lot of it is now Legends. They don't have to use it, but like the New Jedi Order books, I read every one of those books, and they had all these different writers. They were supposed to be working together, and it's obvious that they were talking to each other, but there was no coordination because they had a series where they were building up, like in Legends, if people don't know that, like Han and Leia had 3 kids. They had Jason and Jaina, which were twins, and then they had another son named Anakin. Well, Anakin Solo, they were building him up to be some kind of very powerful. He had figured out, like the Yuzang Vong, the Jedi couldn't feel him in the Force. It was because they were from outside the galaxy. They couldn't figure it out. He had figured out a way, like using one of their like techno-organic like crystals. He used it in a lightsaber, and he could kind of feel through the Force. Hey, what's up, cat? But he could feel the Yuzang Vong through the Force. He could. It was starting to. He was figuring this stuff out, and so they were really it looked like they were really setting him up to be this big player. And then in the next book, he died, and it was so disjointed. It was very weird, and I think that's one of my biggest complaint of the sequel trilogy is that, because he was like, okay, I got the ball to here, now you take it and you run with it. And he, you know, you got, what's his nuts from Last Jedi?
Rian Johnson.
Yeah, Rian Johnson, who just went off in a totally different direction. I mean, there were some things that, he was left with. You see, Luke had just disappeared, and it was like, was he just taking himself out of the equation, or was he looking for something? He took himself out of the equation. And, and then you have stuff like, they were kind of setting it up. Like if you watch in The Force Awakens, Han's looking at Rey like he knows her. And then in the second, no, she's nobody, and then in the third one, no, she's a Palpatine. It went all over the place, and because there was no coordination from the beginning. And I'm hoping that that's not happening. We're not seeing the end result yet. but I'm hoping that Favreau is like the, he's the runner of he's the Kevin Feige, what Kevin Feige is to Marvel. He's that for this Mandoverse stuff going on Disney Plus.
Dave Filoni has a lot of influence too, though.
That's fine, and I'm fine with that too. I mean, because he's proven himself with the Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff in the animated realm, and he's done very well with the live action stuff too. I mean, when he's directed episodes of The Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett, where like what you want, but he has proven himself on that. He knows a lot of the lore, and he does play a long game with characters. I mean, because at first, when I first started watching the Clone Wars when it first came out, I was like, God, Ahsoka's so annoying, I can't stand her. And now she grew into a very good character. I mean, it was this. So it was, but he plays that long game, and I'm okay with that. It's just, you got to see it for what it is. It's right now we're in the middle of it. We don't see the end. It's over the hill.
Yeah. So do you think this new timeline they've established, Celebration, do you think that's all joined up, or they haven't got a clue? They're just sort of picking bits here and there and everywhere.
I work with I'm a systems engineer for military projects, and I'm working on one now that's in development. And if you look at the schedules from when they first started to now, I think that is just, they needed to put something on a slide at Celebration. They're not going to stick to it. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to hold themselves to it, and I'm okay with that as long as I'd rather than delay something and make it better than just release something to keep up with a schedule and it's crap.
Yeah.
So
it's just crazy, right? They've got that timeline there, and they brought all these directors out on projects, and there's still about 8 projects out there that have been announced and not been officially canned yet.
Well, they've also had this.
It's crazy.
They've also had this penchant for going after the new hot thing. Like they wanted, Benioff and Weiss from Game of Thrones. They started to, and then look what they did to Game of Thrones so they could get on Star Wars. Those guys are horrible. I'm glad they got fired, or it's out there in Rian Johnson's trilogy. Whether it's happening, it's not happening. I doubt it's going to happen. But, I mean,
I don't think we should go anywhere near Star Wars again. That bloke, I really don't.
I don't know. I would if it's something. What I've wanted Disney to do is get away from the main characters. There's a whole galaxy of stories they could tell about people unconnected to that main story. And make that, all that stuff in the periphery of what you're doing. And I think it could be really good. Get away from that. And everybody has visions for stuff. I'm kind of hoping with this writer's strike, I could get my, pariah Star Wars story done. I don't care. I'm a skip. I'm not a part of the Writers Guild.
So I think the only movie that's got a chance of being finished is the Filoni one. The rest of them, I think. Not
the Taika Waititi one.
He's all over. It wasn't
announced, was it? At Celebration, I don't. If it was meant to be one of the ones.
Do you guys think that there is too much Star Wars? As in, they're trying to do too much, and that is affecting the quality because it seems that they're doing one thing, they're rushing that to try and get the next thing done. So
I think it's the announcing and then abandoning of projects. They, they had the Rogue Squadron movie from the girl who did the first 2 Wonder Woman movies, and then you look at the movie that she, and then there's sometimes when you look at it and it's the one movie that she had full control over was the second Wonder Woman movie, and it wasn't that great. So maybe it's okay that one got dropped. I don't know. I want them to have, like I said, I want them to do coordination. I want stop going after the new hot thing and trying to get them in Star Wars. Come up with a plan, come up with a good story, and then move from there. I mean, they started hyping a Damon Lindelof movie, and I'm sorry, that guy is a horrible writer. I don't want him anywhere near Star Wars.
I agree. In answer to your question, though, Stu, I would just add, for me, no, there's not too much Star Wars, and I don't think it's really affecting the quality. But that's just me.
No, that's fine.
I'm sure people have different views, but I'm kind of, maybe I'm just too easily pleased. I don't know.
You
So
support Tottenham, so yeah.
well, that took you a lot longer than I thought it would, actually. So,
Anthony, what about you, sir?
Well,
How do you feel about it?
the TV shows made me fall in love with Star Wars again. The movies, I was definitely like feeling, Star Wars has lost its way, and they're just going down a path that I was like, they're taking away the magic of it. And even the TV shows so far at the worst, or they're still gorgeous to look at. They're just something visually pleasing. There's just something warm and fuzzy about it that just makes me feel like I'm 10 years old again watching it. So bring it on. I'm happy with it. With the everything that they announced, I was fairly certain that they were trying to go from like, all right, well, Boba Fett would finish, or Boba Fett would finish. Now let's, a couple weeks later, we're going to have Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan finishes. A couple weeks later, we're going to have Mandalorian season 3. That finishes, and we're going to go into Ahsoka. I thought they were going to kind of do this revolving thing where they have one series going into the other, but it's been pretty slow going so far.
What about you, Phil?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there should be more, to be honest. So just kind of hit us with as much as possible, and just bring it all on, and we'll take the bits that we like, and we'll rewatch that. And if you don't like it, you can do one, basically, because that's what we do. There's about 2 or 3 episodes I really love of The Mandalorian in each season. I'll kind of rewatch them, but the rest, I don't watch too much. But I think that's the thing about the latest season. I've not rewatched it, so that kind of says to you it wasn't amazing. It was okay, but yeah, I think they could. I was shocked that Ahsoka's going to be in August. I don't know why. I don't know why I was shocked, because I think that's what they said. Kind of.
I think they're tying it in with San Diego It's a marketing release. They're tying it in with San Diego Comic-Con, so Hasbro can announce that the next HasLab is the Ghost, because it's going to be in the show.
Good point. Point. Well,
maybe, but I think at Celebration Anaheim, they said Ahsoka was coming out that time, 2023, and I don't know why. There seemed to be a perception that it was gonna hit a lot later in 2023. So when they actually said, it's coming out in August, everyone was like, I don't know why that was, but even I was shocked, and I heard them announce it was going to be, early 2023 or sort of spring, summer 2023.
Well, they've been pretty good about putting something out like late in the year. I'm guessing Andor season. What they said when Andor season 2 is coming out? Did they say? Does it have a release date yet?
No. I mean, I think they're
25.
starting. It's probably gonna be at least a year. My impression, if I'm remembering correctly, I mean they've started building up production, but it's not. It's gonna take a while to do.
Yeah, because I mean they've had season 1 of The Mandalorian came out when they premiered Disney Plus, which was like October, and it went through just through the holidays. It was like the beginning of the new year for 2020. It ended up, and then they had everything done. So it was like about a year later. It was like December, I think, that they came out with season 2. Or it was just after in 2022 or something, or 2021. I can't remember. Yeah, it was sometime. It was like spring of March 2021, and then that Christmas, like around November, so was when Book of Boba Fett came out. They've always had something. Pretty much had something every year, right around that time of year. So I'm curious to see what they're going to have for this year, because they don't really. I mean, if it's not going to be Andor, and that's the only other one in the can other than this. I mean, Ahsoka's going to go through, probably sometime it's going to wrap up sometime in the fall.
How many episodes did they say?
I was going to say, does anybody know the episode count?
Well, I mean, they've kind of sticking close to this 8-episode format. I'm assuming it's going to be 8, but Book of Boba Fett was 7. So it would be great if it was 10 episodes, but
Andor was 12, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Andor is 12, but I mean, I don't consider that Andor because it's its own thing. It's not in these connected shows.
No, I agree.
But I love it. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people they were complaining. The main complaint I heard about Andor was that it was slow.
Yeah, it's a slow burn.
It is.
My
I'll tell you
biggest-
what, now that it's not one episode a week, if you binge it, that gets rid of that. And I think it's much better to watch as a binged show.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why they did the first 3 episodes together, because like if you watch that first episode, you're like, what's going on? You know, you're going to lose your audience. So it was pretty smart to do the first 3.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing for me, Vandor. Was the first 3 episodes were hard slog. Even watching them back to back, I found them quite hard. So prison episodes were awesome.
Andor seemed to get quite a bit of love. Andor seemed to be.
Oh yeah, actually, it's the highest rated show on Rotten Tomatoes out of all the shows we've discussed.
Well, it's one thing we've been saying about it. I mean, a lot of people, because you got people like me at, you know, when Star Wars came out, I was 6 years old. You know, and so, I mean, granted, Star Wars is a show about space wizards made for kids. That's what it is. It's always what it's going to be, you know. But Andor was, you know, because like fans like my age or who have been there from the beginning have always like, you know, we want like kind of a grown-up Star Wars. Andor was that.
Yeah.
I mean, or the closest you're going to get to it. But my kids absolutely loved it too. I mean, so it was kind of it kind of scratched that itch for
him. He wasn't
okay
in
with
it.
that. Okay. Doesn't have to be him either. It's a big galaxy, man.
So, gents, I've got a challenge for you now. So, what I'm going to do is ask each one of you to name one good thing about each of the sequel trilogy films. Okay, just one good thing. Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Matt. So, one good thing about The Force Awakens.
Right, Force Awakens, the imagery. That establishment shot on Jakku with the Star Destroyer in the background. That, for me, that's one thing I will say. As much as I have problems with J.J. Abrams as a writer and a director, he's got such an eye for visuals and establishing shots like that. There's shots like that. I mean, that shot when I first saw it brought a tear to my eye. It was just so beautiful and so well done and amazing. The Last Jedi, I would say honestly.
Oh no! So we'll come back to that. Sorry, Matt. We'll come back to that.
Okay. So we're just doing Force Awakens.
Yeah. So
okay,
Anthony.
Force Awakens, you know, a controversial take. I think it was pretty bold to kill off Han Solo, one of everybody's favorite characters, but it was an important story point. And I didn't like the fact that they killed him off, but I liked that. I liked that plot point, and I thought it was pretty powerful.
Cool, Phil.
Knee numb.
Was he in The Force Awakens?
Yeah, he grabbed like a box of Pop-Tarts and heads off to his fighter for the battle.
Okay, cool.
He's there.
You know what? I didn't even notice him. That means I'm not watching it again just for that. No. Adam.
Oh, controversial here, but I think he's. I've got to word this right before I say it. I quite like. Visually, I think Kylo Ren looks awesome as a baddie. If we forget his emotional state and he's a bit of a teenager, but you know, I think Kylo Ren was like, I think the whole imagery of his helmet, man, that was awesome. So I'm like, Kylo Ren's one of my favorite figures still. So, you know, so there you go.
Cool.
Right, move on. Let's move on. Last
Jedi.
Matt, Last Jedi. One good thing about The Last Jedi.
I actually have two. One real quick is that's the first movie I was able to take both my kids to go see. Star Wars movie I was able to take both my kids to see in the theater. And
I feel sorry for your kids. I apologize for them. Sorry.
It's okay. But I mean, when we had that talk on my collecting life, that was one of my favorite childhood memories was when I was 6 and my dad took me to see Star Wars. So I got to actually do that there. As far as that one as a movie, it's probably the best constructed movie of the 3. As far as pacing, cinematography, the story, you can dislike the story, it's fine. But the way it tells the story, it tells it very well. That's pretty funny. But so I mean, as far as a movie goes, it's probably the best of the 3. But you know, So,
But as a Star Wars movie,
it's not the story I would have told. I mean, but you look at where he had to start from. Like I said, he had a choice. Like, was Luke on Acto because he took himself out of the equation, or was he looking for something? He took him out of the equation. I mean, you can debate the choices all you want. That's fine. But that was being able to take my kids to see that movie is the reason I don't hate the sequels.
Okay,
I get to
cool.
enjoy that with my kids.
Anthony, Last Jedi, one good thing.
Chewie ripping the door off of Luke's hovel. That was just a fun scene. But it just Luke teaching Rey, that all resonated, that all worked. It really was a reset in our way of thinking of the Jedi, and I like Luke's fall. I just wish the trajectory, him finding his way, worked out a little bit better.
Okay, Phil.
Well, I'm not going to say half naked Kylo Ren like Adam. I'm going to say Victorian. just
I didn't say half naked Kylo Ren. I was actually referring to the mask.
That's the good thing about The Last Jedi for Adam.
It's coming.
Spoiler alert.
No, Praetorian Guards. I thought let's not go there because I actually quite like the Last Jedi. But that lightsaber battle with the Praetorian Guards is pretty decent, and I like Praetorian Guards. So that for me, that's the best
I'd say that was probably my favourite bit as well. So yeah. Right, should we just skip Adam because we know what his favourite book's going to be?
Yeah.
Go on, Adam.
Can I do his all the time? Because
I'm just going to. Mine's going to be a bit more generic, but I think it's important to put out there, and it's nothing to do with the story as such. But I think visually, it's quite a nice, aesthetically film to watch. And I'm not talking about Adam Driver half bloody naked. So, I'm talking
Did you like Salt?
Pardon?
Do you like Salt?
Like I said, I didn't really dislike that kind of part of it. Like, I don't know. Like, I just thought visually it looked nice. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of a bit more. Oh no, that sounds awful. I was going to say I can be swayed if something looks pretty. So that's about it. Really.
It is a meme goldmine. That whole movie is a meme goldmine. Even that Salt one. I have a friend that he just he's never watched it, The Last Jedi, and he hates it. And I always joke, I was like, dude, you haven't even seen it. And he's like, I don't need to see it. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. So I send that bit with him where he goes, Salt.
Okay, then. So the one good thing about the Rise of Skywalker, Matt.
I'm gonna go with the one scene is with at the space battle at the end. I love that battle when they think it's like it's when there's no hope, and then all of a sudden you hear there's too many of them, and then you hear Lando. It's kind of like the on your left moment from Endgame. He just goes, but there's more of us, Poe. There's more of, and then all of a sudden you see all those ships. And I'll pause that just to look and go, okay, there's the Ghost. They're trying to pick out all the ships. I like that part. It's the one thing about it is that there's neat little moments here and there that visual moments of that. But yeah, there's I like
cool.
that.
Cool, Anthony.
Zuri Bliss.
Wow.
Overall,
she's hot.
Yeah. Overall, I kind of I felt like they treated the Thing character a little better, although he still wasn't his full potential. But I feel like that actor got to do a little bit more, be a little bit more, I don't know. He just felt better, a little bit more fleshed out.
Okay, cool. Phil?
So I'm not going to say what Adam's going to say, which is Renlo. Is it Renlo? The two together.
Yeah.
Raylo, is it? Whatever.
Raylo, something like that, yeah.
Probably near Numb, actually. Again, he was good in that as well. Actually, I want to say Neem Numb for all three of them. I'm going to change my answers. Neem Numb's role in the whole sequel trilogy for me was the highlight of all three.
Wow, Adam.
Don't read the novel.
Genuinely, I'm struggling. I'm not going to lie to say something fairly positive about it. And not that I'm a hater of it, but there's just nothing that really sticks out to me. I like anything. Oh no, it's going to sound awful. I like anything where you've got a battle with some lightsabers. I don't care who's in it. And don't just say Kylo Ren again, because I like a good lightsaber battle. So,
they were well choreographed fights. They did a good job with the lightsaber fights.
Yeah, they're choreographed well and stuff like that. And I appreciate that. I love, if you go back further, the Ray Parks, like Darth Maul scenes, anything with him in. I love all that where there's a good, yeah. So there's a good. What's that? See something.
Oh dear.
Adam, did you like the opening scene?
All I said was I thought like Kylo Ren's mask looked good. It's unbelievable.
Did you like the opening bit with Kylo Ren? That was pretty good, wasn't it? The whole opening scene with Kylo Ren.
Genuinely, I think him as a visual with his mask, helmet, whatever you want to call it on, I think it just looks badass. Like, to me, that is visually, I think that's such a good looking like baddie. But that's just me. So I think he's awesome.
Tony, I totally agree with you, Tony.
Character is in, not saying his character is how he's portrayed, but more of like the look. So
in summary, you like his character, naked, his helmet, and his
I never said anything about liking him half naked. You've said that more times.
You just said it.
I said I liked his his robes. I don't know, like whatever you want to call him. Like, if I was to cosplay, I'd cosplay as Kylo. So I don't.
Right, gentlemen,
do that.
Time has come now for the Star Wars trivia quiz. Do you all have your pens and paper at the ready?
Oh crap!
Oh,
Who said "oh crap"?
Yeah.
Did I miss the memo?
yeah, I might have. Oh shoot! Do I gotta type something up here?
Oh,
Is your printer on?
I think I have something coming. I feel the force.
Oh, check you out.
Let's get an assistant.
Okay, so let me get my stopwatch. And already I can hear Gary Moore shouting "fix" every time. Every time. Okay, so gentlemen, I've got 6 questions for you. These questions all relate to the Star Wars prequels and the Star Wars original trilogy. I did not think of these questions. I'm not that clever. Right, what I've done is I've just taken the cards from a Trivial Pursuit game with Star Wars written on it, and it happens to be Star Wars Trivial Pursuit questions, right? People in the chat might argue that, Gary Moore. So you've got 30 seconds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you the question. You're going to write your answer down on a piece of paper. Then I will enlarge the screen so you can put your answer up. And don't forget, guys, even though you're not on screen, I can still see you down the bottom there. So if anybody's writing away after 30 seconds, you will be disqualified. Okay, so are we ready for the first question?
Let's do it.
Okay. Which North African country provided the setting for the Jawa droid sale? 30 seconds start now. Which North African country provided the setting for the Jawa droid sale? I'll give you a hint. It's in North Africa. Okay, you've got 5 seconds. And your time is up. Okay, we shall go with Matt first. Well, if you got 1 on 3, put your answers up. 1, 2, 3. Right, so Matt, go on in. Tunisia, okay. Anthony. What is what? I can't see that. Hold it up a bit more. Yep, nice one. Phil. Adam.
I put Tunisia and then changed it to Morocco. So
I'm the only one that spelled it wrong.
yeah. My spelling's going to be awful, by the way, because I'm dyslexic. So you're going to have to forgive that. Because I'm really poor at spelling. So
okay, no worries. Right, I'll catch up with the chat in a second. Oh, hang on, Guppy. How you doing? Good luck with this quiz. Oh dear. Right. Okay. Question number 2. What planet did Han Solo expect to touch down on at 0200 hours in Star Wars? 30 seconds start now. What planet did Han Solo expect to touch down on at 0200 hours in Star Wars? Ten seconds. Time is up. Right, time at the bar, gentlemen. Okay. Matt, what we got?
All of YouTube is going to know my handwriting sucks.
Okay, Anthony. Phil?
Had a brain fart.
Well, I can't. Wait. Hold it to the camera so I can see, Phil. No, the other way. No.
Dan Tween. I can't even spell Dan Tween.
And
It's wrong.
Adam?
shit spelling. Sorry.
Yeah.
But all
I'll take it.
Close enough.
Okay, yes, the answer was Alderaan. Right. Question number 3. What machines did Uncle Owen have installed on the farm's south ridge? Time starts now. What machines did Uncle Owen have installed on the farm's south ridge? Okay, you have 5 seconds. Time, gentlemen. Okay. Matt. No.
It says the units.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I am wrong as well.
You are wrong. Phil.
Vaporizer. I don't know.
I
No.
have a second guess, but
Adam.
I'm 100% wrong because I had blank. I couldn't think.
The answer was condensers.
ah,
It's the same thing.
No, no, no. Oh,
Shenanigans.
Okay, question number 4. What Tatooine town rises from outcroppings at the edge of the Great Flats? It is mentioned in the film. What Tatooine town rises from outcroppings at the edge of the Great Flats? Time starts now.
oh, wow.
I can see a lot of people writing in the chat. I'm sorry I've not cut up with you guys, but I'm concentrating. I don't want to give these guys any more time than, because I don't want to, fix and all that sort of stuff shouting at me from Gary Moore. So, yeah. I'll catch up with the chat in a second. 5 seconds. Time, gentlemen. Okay, Matt, what have we got? Oh, saucy devil. Check you out. Yeah, good job. Anthony. Awesome. Phil. No, unlucky, sir. And Adam.
Another blank for me.
Oh, wow. Oh,
At least I got one right. This is all I
you have. You've got to get one more, then, because that means you'll be higher than Luke Reynolds, because he only got one. And so did Brett on Fett.
That's
love this.
definitely a bit of a motivation, isn't it? So
You've got to get two. You've got to get two. Right. Question number 5. What uneasy pilot declares flying is for droids? Time starts now. What uneasy pilot declares flying is for droids? Welcome to the chat, Christian. Thank you, sir. Right, 10 seconds. And time, gentlemen. So, Matt, what we got? Ooh. Indeed. Anthony?
I can't believe I got that one as well.
Bill? Good man. And Adam?
suck it, Luke Reynolds.
I can hear Luke's tears from here, as well as Brett.
That was literally the last 5 seconds. I was like, I'm just gonna. That's that in my head. I don't know. It came across uneasy. I couldn't remember.
Oh, hang on a minute. Wait a minute. Well, look, we've had this conversation, Brett. That didn't count, mate. It was just a charity event. It wasn't serious. It was just a muckabout. You know, so what can you do? You did well, though. You got more than one on that occasion. So, yeah, fair play to you. Right, last question. What? Hey?
Just see Luke's comment. Unbelievable. I'd never do that. Come on me first next time if you want.
I will. I'll do that. Right.
Yeah.
What Ewok stole a speeder bike to distract Imperial forces on Endor? Time starts now. What Ewok stole a speeder bike to distract Imperial forces on Endor?
I don't think it is this one. But
If you watched my video last week, you know.
That's right, you did.
5 seconds.
Now I'm wondering if I'm right.
Yeah. Ooh.
And time is up. Okay, so let's go to Adam first then, shall we?
I'm not
Okay, Adam,
convinced.
what we got?
I put
Is it Misa?
No, it wasn't. Okay, Phil, what have we got? We're going to go in reverse order. I can't see that.
Is that?
Yep, well done.
Is that right?
Anthony,
Indeed.
well done, sir. And last but not least, Matt.
Yeah, I do have to thank Hasbro for this one.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, right. So the scores we have are Adam scored a respectable 2. So that is better than Brett on Fett and Luke Reynolds. So well done, sir.
Well, that's a win. That's just a win, ain't it? So I can retire now.
Phil, you got 3 points. And coming joint first with 5 each is Anthony and Matt. And you join only one Kenobi at the top of the table. So well done to you two, gentlemen. He's been sat up there on his own for quite a while now.
I don't know why, but
I still think we got that other one right. Just
what other one right?
Condensers and vaporators.
He did say condensers. As soon as he said it, I was like,
yeah,
oh.
I forgot.
To be fair,
I thought he said units. I can't remember.
You better get those condensers up
right.
at the South Ranger. They're being held to pay.
Yeah. Yeah, because he didn't say moisture evaporators, did he? So it was condensers.
He said condensers.
This is a bit of a crazy one, but I would have been free if I hadn't crossed Tunisia out at the last second and randomly put Morocco. So,
well, listen,
Tunisia was my first fault.
Adam, all I can say to that, mate, is Tottenham would have had a draw with Liverpool if they hadn't scored in the last few seconds, mate.
Really? I tried
I had to go there. Right, let's just catch up with the chat. I mean, there's quite a bit going on. There's a lot of chat. So
yes, that feels.
Hey?
We would have
What's
won
that?
if Jota had been sent off. Yeah, that.
Yeah, you're breaking up. I told you my internet connection's really poor. I can't hear you.
Boy, Matt and Anthony are thinking, what is this they're talking about? Football?
Yeah. Probably. All right, so hang on. What's Brett got to say? What's Brett got to say? Deleted scene. Okay. Right, no.
I
Where's
think that was too an early comment. No, Luke, do one. That's all I'm saying.
You're confusing yourself with Paplu again. Yeah, right. Just catch up on the chat. If only you didn't put the wrong answers, Adam, you could have scored 6 points. Well, there you are.
So why?
Well,
I just want to ask. I feel like I'm being picked on here.
No, not at all. Not at all. Right, gentlemen, that we know we've been near enough nearly 2 hours, so I just want to say a massive thank you to you guys for taking part in this. Really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you to everybody in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't get round to putting all your comments up on the screen, but I was, really busy trying to do the quiz at the end there. I do apologise for the poor internet connection at the start. So, me and technology, we love each other. I love it. It hates me. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But I just want to say thank you to Matt, Anthony, Phil, and Adam. Appreciate you taking the time. It's been a great fun. It's been interesting to hear your thoughts. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Take care, stay safe, and we shall see you in the next one. All the best, and thank you again.
Thanks for hosting.
Bye.